Today, we're talking about a case from Clydebank, Scotland that absolutely shook a community to its core. It's the story of Paige Doherty, a story that starts on a totally normal Saturday morning but ends with a brutal crime, a massive investigation, and, believe it or not, a legacy of hope that grew out of this unimaginable loss. So let's get into what happened that day and everything that came after. Every part of this just feels so normal. A teenager excited about her first real job, just heading out on a weekend morning. It's these everyday, relatable moments where this whole story begins. And it really grounds you in a life that was so full of promise before it was just so violently ended.
So, before we dive into the actual investigation, I think it's really important we take a second to get to know Paige Doherty because she wasn't just a name in a headline. She was this vibrant, funny young woman with big dreams and a family that absolutely adored her. Now, Paige was tiny, only 4'8", but everyone said she was super feisty. She was a talented dancer, she loved hair and fashion, and her big dream was to open her own beauty salon one day. But the most important thing, she was incredibly close with her family, especially her mom, Pamela. Her mom literally called Paige her best friend. Okay, so let's go back. It's Saturday, March 19th, 2016, a day that started out completely normal for Paige, but would end in absolute tragedy. We're going to trace her very last known movements. Paige had just been at a sleepover at her friend's house. She was on her way to this part-time job she was genuinely so excited about. I mean, she was responsible, she was mature, and she really loved her work. This is not the kind of teenager who would just vanish. She had plans, she was looking forward to her day. The first alarm bells started ringing right around noon. Her boyfriend, Dylan, couldn't get a hold of her, which was really weird for Paige. She was always on her phone. So he calls the salon, and that's when he hears the news that must have just sent a chill down his spine. She never showed up. He calls her mom, Pamela, and the panic just skyrockets. This was completely out of character. The family knew, right in their gut, something was terribly, terribly wrong. So as the police launched this massive missing person investigation, the search pretty quickly zeroed in on the route Paige would have taken to her bus stop, and that route led them right to a local shop and to a dark secret that was hiding in plain sight. The very first and really the only witness was a local shopkeeper named Ashi Ahmed. He'd known Paige her whole life. He saw her walk right past his shop at 8:15 in the morning. She even waved as she headed towards the business right next door, a sandwich shop called The Delicious Deli. So for investigators, this left them with one critical question. What on earth happened in the seconds after she passed his shop? And this is where the CCTV footage became the silent witness that blew the whole case wide open. At 8:21 a.m., you can clearly see Paige walk into the Delicious Deli. Just 10 minutes later, the shop's shutters come down, which is really weird for a business that's supposed to be opening. Then, the owner, a man named John Leatham, is caught on camera making some very suspicious purchases. Cleaning supplies and bin bags. And by noon, he's seen carrying a heavy bin bag to his car. Paige is never seen leaving that deli. So when police first talked to John Leatham, he was cagey. At first, he said he didn't even recognize Paige. Then he changed his story and said, oh yeah, she bought a breakfast roll and then left to catch her bus. But the CCTV told a completely different and much, much darker story. The video evidence was just undeniable. She went in, but she never came out. From there, the investigation moved incredibly fast. And tragically, just 2 days after she went missing, Paige's body was found by the side of a main road. The forensic evidence was just overwhelming. Investigators found her DNA inside the deli, on the walls, between the floorboards. And to just seal the deal, Leatham himself was caught on CCTV in a wooded area very, very close to where her body was eventually found. With all this evidence just piling up against him, the case went to court. John Leatham had no choice but to confess. But the motive he came up with for this horrific crime, well, the judge completely rejected it. The timeline, the forensics, the lies, it all pointed to one person. I mean, faced with a mountain of evidence he just couldn't deny, John Leatham pleaded guilty to Paige's murder. He really had no other choice. The judge, Lady Ray, described the crime with this chilling clarity. An examination showed Paige had suffered over 100 injuries, including 61 stab wounds. The judge didn't mince words at all, calling it a savage, frenzied attack on a completely defenseless 15-year-old girl.
The shock of this just echoed through the entire community. Leatham was 31 years old, a married dad, a local business owner. The judge basically said what everyone was thinking. How could a seemingly ordinary guy be capable of something so violent, so horrific?
Leatham did try to offer a motive. He claimed Paige had come in asking for a job, and when he told her she was too young, she threatened to falsely accuse him of touching her. He said he just panicked and attacked her. The problem? The judge found absolutely zero evidence to back up this self-serving story.
And Judge Ray was so clear on this point. She basically said, look, even if your story were true, and there's no proof it is, it would never, ever justify what you did. She concluded there was simply no logical motive that could possibly explain the sheer brutality of the violence he used against Paige. John Latham was sentenced to life in prison. He was originally given a minimum term of 27 years, but after an appeal, it was reduced, so he'll serve a minimum of 23 years before he's even eligible to be considered for parole.
But you know what? This story, it doesn't just end with a prison sentence. The murder of Paige Doherty completely shattered the community of Clydebank. But in the middle of all that devastation, something really powerful started to emerge. A promise from everyone to never, ever forget her. The way the public responded was immediate and just so moving. The town's most famous landmark, the Titan Crane, was lit up bright pink, that was Paige's favorite color, like a beacon of remembrance. It was this incredible visual symbol of a community that was united in its grief and absolutely refused to let her memory fade away. And that grief quickly turned into real action. A couple of fundraising campaigns raised more than £14,000 to help her family with funeral costs. Her mom, Pamela, became this tireless advocate, campaigning for changes in the law to give more support to victims' families. And maybe most importantly, a charity was created in her name.
That charity is called Paige's Promise, and its mission is twofold. On one hand, it's there to comfort and support other families who are dealing with the loss of a child. But on the other hand, it also aims to empower young people by offering self-defense classes, trying to create a legacy of safety and strength. Paige Doherty just had so much promise. She was talented and smart and passionate, with these big dreams. And while her life was cut short in the most horrific way imaginable, the memory that really lasts in her community is that of her bright, bubbly personality. And that really just leaves us with one final thought. The story of Paige Doherty is one of an incredible darkness, for sure, but it's also a story of resilience. And it makes you ask, when faced with a tragedy like this, how does a community come together not just to grieve, but to build something lasting that ensures a victim's bright light is what we remember most?